Awesome. All right. Well, welcome. We're so glad those of you who could join us could. And myself and Erin and Jenny are a part of a group of people called the Healthy Living Revolution. And we're a group of people that are coming together to take healthy back in simple ways and doable ways and in community, which is awesome. It's really how we were created, right? Is to learn with other people. And that's what this community is all about. So I'm going to spend a little time this evening just educating you kind of about where we're at and then showing you just a simple solution as well. So first here, hold on. We are having a little bit of issue. It's happened. Hold on just 1 second. Stop share. So sorry. This happened to Julie yesterday too. So I may have to resume slideshow. Okay, there we are. Hopefully we'll be able to keep going. So there are two startling trends in our world right now. And the first one is that our environmental toxins are on the rise. And so I kind of joke that when I was a girl, Madonna had a hit song, and you may or may not know it depending on your age, but it was Material Girl. And she would, do a little chant, I'm living in a material world. And right now I feel like we can change that tune to be living in a chemical world, because that's truly what has happened, right? From the air that we are breathing, things are spraying in the air, to the food that we're eating, to the water that we're drinking, to the things that we put on our skin. We are carrying a toxic load that nobody to this date in history has ever had to carry. So that is our first kind of trend that's going on right now. And the second one is, at the same time, our food quality is decreasing. And so you see this gentleman in the middle of the store, and he's trying to figure out what to buy. And most likely he's not finding food there. He's finding what we would call a food-like product, which has all of these things listed on your screen in it. That's what he's going to be finding, more than he's going to be finding whole food. And so because of that, food is supposed to be helping us in this fight that we're up against, but instead, because the quality of our food is decreasing, it's really adding to the load that we carry. Something that I've learned on my journey, which you'll hear a little bit more about later, is that really when we go to the grocery store, a couple rules of thumb. First, that we want to shop the perimeter of our store, because that really is where whole foods are found. And another rule is, if your grandmother would not have known about this when she lived, it's probably not real food. And so just steer clear of it. And also, I had a shift about 15 years ago from, instead of really looking at calories, which is really what I was focused on growing up. I was a part of the low-fat generation. Snackwell cookies were released then, and everybody was about low-fat and counting calories, regardless of what kind of ingredients were in that food. I made a shift about 15 years ago that I wanted to look at just the ingredient list. And I aim to have things with 5 ingredients or less, all of which I can pronounce. And that is just a great rule of thumb to know that that is a food, most likely not a food-like product. So we have those two things happening, which is leading us into what Dr. David Katz, who's the head of Yale School of Prevention, he says this, that this may be the first generation of children to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. And you know what, that just rolls off my tongue, but it should cause you to pause, because here we are in this, first world country with all this technology and all of these medical advancements, and yet we're looking at the fact that our children, if we do nothing, are most likely going to live less long than we do. And the news doesn't get much better than that. It doesn't get much better because the CDC has actually lowered the life expectancy twice in the last 6 months. And we're down to 74, I believe 74 years, 73 or 74, I'm gonna go higher. 74 years of age right now is our average life expectancy, which is crazy. I'm 45, and I think, I just kind of always think about, 80 or 90, but to think of 70s, my mid 70s being the average age. So we have a whole list of things which you can read here that are going on with our children. And I'm sure if you look around, somebody somebody's kids or maybe even your own children are dealing with some of the things on here. It really is an epidemic, and a lot of things contributing to that. So it's not really much better with adults. You know, there's a list of things here, obviously cancer and heart disease and diabetes, which are the big ones. But I don't want to, you know, continue to dwell on what is true right now. We hopped on this call because those of us who are involved in this community feel like the last thing right here on this slide is what gives us hope and gives us a passion and a mission, is that 75% of all chronic disease is actually preventable. And you know what? That's not really news that sells. We would rather just whatever. I mean, hear the bad stuff and the doctor is going to tell us this and that. But really, so much of what we're dealing with truly is preventable. And that is what we're excited about tonight to share with you. So what I want to go on now is to just talk a little bit about our bodies and how we are wired to handle all of this toxic load that we have and we just can't get away from because of, you know, the century that we live in. And that is this, that oxidative stress is linked to poor health. And so I don't know if you're like me, you may have heard that term and maybe not really understood quite what it is. Simply put, oxidative stress is the aging, both internal and external, of our bodies. So externally, you look at this woman, you're going to see she is aged, right? Her skin has maybe a more sallow complexion. She's got wrinkles. That's what's going on outwardly. Inwardly, same sort of thing is happening. There's a rusting of our cells and of our body that's going on. Living, breathing, just being human causes oxidative stress, okay? So you can't get away from it. There are good things that cause it. Being pregnant causes oxidative stress. Exercising, we think that's so good for us, but it actually creates more stress in our bodies. And unless we're doing something to counteract that stress, sometimes we can be doing more harm than good. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Bad things, smoking, drinking, I mean, there's negative things too, but pretty much if you're breathing, you're having oxidative stress. So what can we do to prevent that? There's only one thing, and that's right here, antioxidants. That's your best defense. And so just a great example of that is why this apple is on the picture. When I was a girl and we made a fruit salad, and we brought that a lot of times to my grandma's house, I remember, and my mom would say, well, let's put some lemon juice on that so it doesn't get brown. I never knew why I was doing that. It just did it because my mom told me to. And later I found out that the lemon is an antioxidant. That's why when you put the juice on that apple, it stops the browning. We know that as soon as we cut open an apple, it starts getting brown. It's the secret to, you know, stopping that is an antioxidant. Same in our bodies. The secret to stopping and neutralizing free radicals and oxidative stress are antioxidants. The only place that those are found, right, are fruits and vegetables and plants. But we have a problem today because our produce is mass produced. And because of that, our produce is packing a much less nutritional punch. Some varieties are over 40% less nutrition in it than they were before. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I don't have time to go into them in depth. I could do a whole documentary. In fact, I've watched a whole documentary on soil depletion, and it's a real thing. We are depleting our soil. It's not as nourishing to our plants. Therefore, our plants are not as nourishing to us, and we truly are all connected to the earth. We really are. And so goes our earth, so go we. Okay, so soil depletion is the first one. The second one has to do really with greed. Really, if it comes down to it, we have been greedy to grow more, to grow it more quickly. And so because of that, we pick our produce before it is ripe. And I'm sure you can all identify with that, right? You see the green bananas in the store. How about the rock hard peaches, hard avocados, all of that. And you know what? I didn't really recognize how serious this was. And I thought, well, I'll just take it home and it will ripen on my counter, right? Yes, it will. But how the plant works, it's just like with a baby in our bellies. When we have a premature baby, we know that baby didn't get everything it needed, you know, up until the very end. It's the same with the plant. 90% of the plant's nutrition goes into the plant within 24 to 48 hours of it ripening. So even when you take that plant, you pick it early and it ripens on your counter, you're not going to have the same nutrition in that plant. And if there's one thing you take away tonight, is there's a lot of information I'm sharing with you. I hope you hear that, because that really is a big deal. And I think explains why, even though we're trying to do our best, we may be trying to eat more fruit and vegetables and berries, why people are still getting sick at the rate that they are. And this slide really, really is a great picture. So in 1953, the National Health Institute did a study on a bowl of spinach and got, it's all of its contents of its different minerals. We're just going to take iron tonight. In 1953, a bowl of spinach would equal 53 bowls of spinach. You'd have to eat 53 bowls of spinach is what I'm trying to say today to equal what was there in 1953. So who is eating 53 bowls of spinach? And that's just the iron content, okay? So plants, as we're going to find, are full of all kinds of different enzymes and minerals. This is just iron. So this is huge. This is huge. So what we did back in the 50s and 60s, when we see, right, 1953, they're starting to figure out maybe there is a gap, maybe there's something going on, there's sickness. They developed the multivitamin. And I'm sure you've all heard of the 12 or 15 essential fruits or multivitamins or vitamins in our multivitamin. And that's where that came from. They were already recognizing there was a gap. So they tried to do their best and they came up with these essentials, right? But they isolated them. They were taken out of food. They're synthetic. They're made in a lab. And I think you could probably agree that although it's a huge business, nobody is getting healthier. The statistics that I showed you earlier, what are true, even though people have been, more or less faithful to taking their vitamins. Unfortunately, now it's coming out to show that vitamins in some ways are actually doing more harm than good because our bodies are taking in too much ingredients and don't know what to do with them and are becoming toxic. Versus the other side of our screen, which is just food, which is what our body was made to run on. I kind of joke there are no vitamin trees or vitamin plants out there. There's just apple trees, right? And there's tomato plants. We are made to run on food. And this listing on the right-hand side of your screen is just a few of the phytonutrients that are in this apple. There are known to be over 20,000 phytonutrients in one apple, okay? And that, they all work together. So to give you an example of that, recent research on lycopene, which is found in tomatoes, has been shown to be awesome against fighting cancer. Everybody was super excited about that, and they went ahead and took the lycopene out of the tomato. They put it in the Petri dish. It didn't do anything against the cancer cells that they put it in there. When it was isolated and by itself, it didn't have cancer-fighting properties. When it's inside the tomato, it absolutely does. So whole foods are really the key here. So we know that I've probably made the case here that fruits and vegetables and berries matter. We need 7 to 13 servings a day. When I was growing up, it was 5 a day. That was the motto. They're moving it up because they realize we need more, but that's if you're healthy. If you're fighting a disease, if you're exercising or you're pregnant, you're looking to get 16 to 20 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. So I don't know about you, but to buy those, prepare those, and eat them would kind of be like a part-time job. So enter a simple solution, which is Juice Plus, this beautiful, beautiful array of fruits and vegetables and berries, which 25 years ago came on the scene. And I like to tell just a little backstory of how it got started. There was a doctor named Dr. Smokey Santillo who was helping cancer patients fight cancer by juicing. And he was discovering the power of food. It ended up his father then, after years of him doing this, his father ended up with lymphoma, very, very sick, given 3 weeks to live. Dr. Smokey started treating him with juices, but he was very, very sick. He couldn't even drink the juice. He was given 3 weeks, right? So Dr. Santillo decided he wanted to make an even stronger juice. So he started throwing in everything in like a giant Vitamix, a really powerful blender. He put the pits, the peels, the seeds, the rinds. Now, mind you, none of the science was out on that yet. So we now know rind is powerful, seeds are powerful. We know this now because we've proven it. He didn't, but what he found, his dad got better. His dad actually ended up living 6 more years with amazing quality of life, built his own house, and it was amazing. And Dr. Santillo credited to this powerful juice. And that's where Juice Plus was born. It's no longer a juice. It's been dehydrated down into just plant powders. We call them plant powders in a capsule. It's pretty amazing. So I want to share with you just 3 things that make this product different than anything else out there on the market. There is nothing else like Juice Plus, which is just amazing because there are entire stores dedicated to supplements, but this is not a supplement. And that's the first thing that makes it unique and what I really had to understand when I was introduced to it. It has a food label. So if you swivel one of those beautiful jars around, you're not going to see a supplement label, okay? So if you go to your cupboard right now and you look at the supplements that may or may not be there, I had supplements, right? And I would flip them around, it's going to say supplement label, which means it's not a food. If you take Juice Plus, you flip it around, you're going to see nutrition label. It's actually a food, just like the same label that's on your carrots or your spinach. And if Juice Plus was sold in a store, it would be in the produce. It would be in the produce department. That's where it would be, because that's what it is. So it's a food label full of all those phytonutrients that we saw a couple slides ago next to the apple. It's non-GMO, it's dairy-free, it's gluten-free, and all of these fruits and vegetables and berries are grown on small farms, mostly in the US, with farmers that are committed to doing nothing to their plants but growing them well, which brings us to our NSF certification, which only 1% of vitamins or supplements have, because it's very hard to keep, it's very hard to sustain, and also very expensive. So very few companies do that. And you can check your supplement labels to see if any of them have it. But what this says is that what Juice Plus says is in their product is, and what you don't want is not. So no fungicides, herbicides, toxins, pesticides. And something you may or may not know, buying organic is a good first step, but organic does not mean that it wasn't sprayed. Organic means that it was sprayed less than traditional. There are still a number of, actually numbering over 200 things that they can still spray on your produce, okay? So a little bit of poison, not a lot, but still a little. The third thing, which is super impressive, is the clinical research on this product. It is the most clinically researched nutritional product in the world. There are over 38 studies done on Juice Plus at universities all around the world. Universities top notch for research like MD Anderson and Yale and Georgetown. This is not done at Juice Plus lab. It's independent research, it's placebo controlled, it's double blind, it's done on humans with blood drawn. So it's really just the cream of the crop. In fact, I spoke to my doctor today and he was just super impressed with the research on this. We kind of joke that there are a lot of pharmaceutical drugs out there that don't have this much research on them. So pretty amazing. So I want to share one particular study with you, and this was done at the University of Maryland. And it was the brainchild of 3 cardiologists who knew that most heart attacks were happening after a high-fat meal, and they wanted to measure the arterial constriction after a high-fat meal. So what they did was take a group of people, and they divided them to 3 groups. The placebo group, a group that was taking our fruits and veggies, you see just that red and green, the red and green jars, and then one that was doing the fruits, the veggies, and the berries. They divided them, they took them to McDonald's, and they fed them a high-fat breakfast, and then they went and measured the constriction that their bodies were experiencing after the high-fat meal. That's this first column, and you see that all of them across the board were having about 50% constriction. What that means is their body was having to work 50% harder to get the blood through. They were responding to that high-fat meal, and that body was working harder. They sent them home, and for 28 days, they did nothing different, okay? They weren't eating different, they weren't exercising, they were just taking Juice Plus. The people, when you come back, you see in the middle columns, the people that were taking the fruit and the veggies. If we look after 28 days, they actually had 68% less constriction, which is amazing. And I mean, really, with that, I would be happy, I think. But then you look at adding the berries, and this group of people had 98% less constriction, basically no constriction at all. And what I love about this study is that it shows that when we do good, more good in our lives can overcome the bad. And I think that's where the hope comes from. It's not that you maybe can cut out every single bad thing. Like if you're my husband and you hear that study, you're like, great, I can have a Big Mac now. That's not necessarily what I wanted him to get out of the study, but that's okay. It's true. He could have a Big Mac, but if he's taking his Juice Plus, like, he's going to be okay. His body is not going to be negative. But I love that we can flood our body with good and it can overcome the bad. So that's encouraging. We also have our shakes, which what I want you to know about this is not a supplement shake. It's not a protein shake. It's also food. You turn it around, it's going to have a nutrition supplement. It's 15 more plants in their whole food form that you get to put in your bodies. It's a protein mix. It does have protein in it, plant protein, and then all these other wonderful things too. What I want to highlight here is the prebiotic fiber and the oligosaccharides. Those are big words. I want you to stick with me. Everybody knows about probiotics, okay? I'm going to give you a little lesson here. Probiotics, actually, the best probiotic you can have for yourself are fruits and vegetables. They actually have a ton of bacteria that populates your gut. Why people are having to take probiotics is because our diet is so poor that we don't have any of that good bacteria. So we keep having to repopulate. But if you actually put prebiotic fiber, and that's what's in the Juice Plus shakes, prebiotic fiber that comes from plants, that will actually cultivate your gut in that the good bacteria will want to stay. And so you will not have to keep taking probiotics, which I love. And this is science that is just coming out. I just saw a research study done this last week about this, that it's actually plants that we need more of, not probiotics. All right, and then there's our omegas. So Juice Plus has a very small product line. You've just seen it. This is it. This is the last product, which I love, because what we do really, really well. Okay, we're not trying to do everything under the sun. We do this, and this is what we do. And they had not released a new product for over 10 years. But about a year and a half ago, we released the omegas, and they knew that people were taking fish oils, and they knew that was, we need omegas, but they also knew that fish are toxic. Okay, our oceans have been overfished, they're toxic, and the fish carry all of that. The reality is that fish don't have omegas by themselves. The fish actually get omegas from plants. No animal has omegas, they're getting them from their plants. So Juice Plus cut out the fish completely and went straight to the algae. And they grow their own algae in a medium that they don't need to spray or do anything. So you're getting all of the good omegas without the toxic part of the fish. We also added in omegas 3, 6, 5, 7, and 9, a wide spectrum. So omegas have been amazing, and so many people are having great experiences. What I want to say is a couple of things that have come out recently about omegas. If you know anybody who's pregnant, postpartum depression is on the rise, and they are linking that to a depletion of omegas in the mom, because the baby will take what the baby needs and leave the mom very depleted. It can take up to 10 years to replenish your own supplies. So super important then. And then also with children, we are finding that children are more depleted in omegas. And actually, the American Pediatric Association just recommended omega supplementation as a first step before looking at a Ritalin or any other medication, that you can begin with omegas, and they really are seeing a difference with that. So that may be something to look further into if you know anybody with those sort of issues going on. Personally, I have seen a reduction in joint pain and just clearer thinking, and omegas are linked to brain health, of course. So Juice Plus, the best part about it is how stinking affordable it is. So we do a lot of, the latte effect, if you will. We spend a lot of dollars every day on things that are not serving us well. Juice Plus does serve us well, and it's a very small amount for what you get. When I look at what I would have to do to feed my family, the vine ripened, beyond organic produce every single day, Juice Plus is a steal. I could buy 2 apples at the store, literally, it will cost me $3.50. So when I look at what this costs per day, pretty amazing. And the best part too, you guys, and how I found out about it is kids are free. So kids can take Juice Plus for free, which is incredible. And just goes to show the heart behind this company and their mission to truly take health back and to help families get healthy together. So this is the last slide I have, and this is what it says. There is nothing available anywhere in the world with or without prescription that is clinically proven to do in the body what Juice Plus does. And this was from Dr. Richard DuBois, the head of infectious medicine in Atlanta. He was one of the first of thousands of doctors now that recommend Juice Plus. So thank you for listening. And at this time, I want Erin, if you can unmute yourself, I would love for you just to share with us a little bit about your Juice Plus and why you're excited about it.
Well, I want to say, first of all, that I had struggled for a long time trying to make sure I was putting in my body the things that I knew my body needed, but I was struggling because I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. I wanted to treat my body kindly and have respect for it and flood it with good things, but I just, again, it's a struggle. It is a struggle for a lot of us. So one thing that I wanted to say is that Juice Plus is basically the beginning of a healthy, it's going to set you up for a healthy way of living, because you're filling in the gaps that we all face. We all have gaps in our diet that we all do. And plants are powerful. There's not one person that I think that you would talk to that would say, oh, there, you don't need that many fruits and vegetables. Everyone says, yes, we do. There's healing properties, and we just don't get enough of them. And but when we do, we're basically preventing sickness and disease. We really are. So a little bit of my testimony about Juice Plus and what it's done for me and my son is, first of all, and I want to make this point clear, is that he is allergic to pineapple. And the fact that he's been able to take a capsule that has pineapple in it, he gets the benefits of the pineapple, is huge. It's huge for us. He has had no adverse side effects whatsoever. So he's flooding his body, and I feel as his mama good that he is doing that. Also, basically, when I talked to him, we both were like, yeah, we have more energy. And the whole clear-minded thing is definitely happening. And it's just amazing. And I'm going to give a TMI, but we are both going more regularly. So I'm just keeping it real, because I struggled with that. I struggled with it for a while, just because I was not getting the nutrients my body needed. And so for me, it's just comforting to know that even if we have like an off day eating, because we all get busy, we all have things going on in our lives, we work late, or kids, whatever it may be, it fills in the gap, and it's easy. Mm-hmm. That was huge for me, because I needed easy. And so I would just say, that I've questioned where this has been all my life, because like, seriously, I mean, oh my goodness. But anyway, and then I want to ask, everyone who is watching or who will be watching, how much is your health worth to you? Seriously. So are you going to go out and buy the latte, like Julie said, or are you going to invest in your health? And that's really just what this is all about. I mean, again, there's nothing else out there like it. And I just am blown away by what I've learned. And so anyway, I just want to thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Erin, so much for sharing. I appreciate it so much. We're going to have Jenny hop on and share. And I love your story, Erin. I love that you're already seeing results. And TMI, it's a group of ladies. It's all good. We're all about TMI. So, Jenny, what's up with you?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to share. First of all, I'm so happy you guys are on here, and thank you for sharing, Erin. I'm gonna let the dog in real quick because he's not gonna stop barking. Hold on. Sorry, guys.
Oh, you're fine.
The joy of 2-year-old and a dog. Okay. So first of all, I'm an ingredient girl. I've always been an ingredient girl. So when I had gotten pregnant, that's kind of when things kind of went full throttle for me. She's begging for her Juice Plus. She already had it today, but I guess we're going to double it up. Okay, baby. Sorry about that. So basically, when I had gotten pregnant is kind of when I went full throttle with it. I mean, I knew all the stuff Julie was talking about, but doing it and knowing it, that was kind of two different things. But when I got pregnant, I was even getting adjustments through my whole pregnancy. And then when she was born, I even got her adjusted. And I did a lot of preventative care. I fed her right. I didn't feed her any sugar. She is still yet to have like any sweets or anything like that aside from fruit. But yeah, she was still picking up a lot of colds. So that was kind of disappointing. And so, yeah, when I started on Juice Plus, it made sense to me, and I started her on it. And I was kind of disappointed because our chiropractor had it and she had never mentioned it to me. A friend of mine ended up mentioning it to me. So anyway, after she was on it for just a couple weeks, we went to a friend's house that had about 4 or 5 sick kiddos. Well, they had like really bad coughs, I should say. And we stayed there for 5 days, and Jocelyn did not pick up the cough, and I was shocked. So I'm like, wow, there must be something to this. So that was kind of enough for me right there. And then she also started eliminating more. So, and I just noticed too, her vocabulary started to explode. So, and at first I'm like, is this just a coincidence? But when you study gut health and all that, if she's eliminating more, it would make sense that it could have possibly, also boosted some other things going on with her brain health, right? So anyway, that is what happened with her. And then for me, oh, here, baby. Okay, thank you. For me, since I had gotten pregnant, I had a really bad sugar addiction. I wasn't much of a sugar person until then, and then throughout my breastfeeding. And when I started on Juice Plus for about a month into it, I noticed that I wasn't craving sugar at all like I was. That was a big thing for me too. So that's pretty much my story, along with, okay, sorry, I got to pick her up. She wants to hold me.
Thank you, Jenny, for sharing.
Yes.
Love hearing your story and your sweet Jocelyn. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, we are so glad you guys were able to join us this evening. And you know what, Juice Plus, I'll just share real briefly. Juice Plus came into my life a few years ago when I had a very sick little boy who was hospitalized for asthma 4 times between the ages of 2 and 4. And I was staring at the doctor who was telling me I needed to do daily steroids. And I had done enough research. I've been passionate about health for a long, long time. And I just knew that steroids was not the direction I wanted to go with my 4-year-old. Meanwhile, I had a neighbor who I'd been walking with who was telling me about Juice Plus. I'd never heard of the product. I thought it was just a vitamin. But she kept saying, well, you could get it for free. You could at least try it. And I wasn't even wanting to try it at the time. And she's like, Julie, could you just, what? And finally I was like, okay, fine, I'll just try it. Because I was looking at steroids. So instead of taking daily steroids, we started taking daily fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And the little boy started chewing them up. And, it's been over 2 years since we've had a hospital visit. He doesn't take daily steroids. He takes daily fruit and vegetables in a capsule. That was enough to get my attention. I started reading more about it and all the research. And I thought, this isn't like anything else. And I know that even though we eat well, there are days where, and like we're just having, pizza or something. And I still know that I and all my family are flooding our bodies with all of this. And so it's been amazing. And I just, as a researcher, I have just, the closer I've come to this company and this product, the more impressed I am with who they are and how they're doing things. They're really, really awesome. So thank you for listening. And we just want to end by saying one of 3 things. We hope we've inspired you to get out there and eat more veggies and fruit for sure. And if you can, find a farmer who you can have a relationship and buy local and buy at your local farmer's market, because you're going to have definitely get higher quality there. Number 2, if anything on this intrigued you, get with Erin, and I'm sure she would love to share with you just how you can get the solution into your own life. Or maybe you thought of somebody. Maybe you have a mom or an aunt or a cousin who's sick and is looking for something. Connect them as well with us. We would love to help. So thank you. At this point, I'm going to unmute us all. And at least I think I'm going to unmute us all.